All right, welcome everybody. My name's Elliot. I'm here with Alexis. We're going to go through kind of the process of funding an Arbiter Pay account and what assigners and contacts need to do to make sure that their officials get paid. Just want to say that thank you for coming. Half of this will pertain to assigners, the other half to contacts. So some of it you won't deal with in the future, but it'll give you an idea of what the process is to go through to make sure that this gets set up correctly. So we're going to start with the assigners end. When you're logged into Arbiter 1, you'll see here that the first thing you need to do is make sure that you have a bill to created for who is going to be responsible for paying those officials. In order to do that, you come over to your payroll option and then click on the sub-tab Bill Tos. From there, you'll see it'll provide a list. If you need to add a new one, come up to this green plus sign. Now it's going to pull all Bill Tos we have on a master list based off your zip code. So you'll see you can search over here. Now you'll notice nothing pops up. In that case, you would come over to this distance meter and change that to expand the range. And then that should pull it up if we do have it on that list. If you're not seeing it after you've tried a couple times and expanded this mileage, go ahead and click on create and it'll ask you to fill out the information so that we can get that added on. If you do find it, all you need to do is just click that checkbox and hit done, and it'll add it to this list right here. Now the second part to this is making sure that that bill to is assigned to the games that you're responsible for paying. So if I come up to my assigning tab and look at my schedule, you'll see that there's two games that that need to be taken care of. Based off the officials' positions, I need to make sure that these two people get paid. To do that, now there's two things that need to be done. Within the game settings, you need to make sure that the bill to, again, that you're assigning to is selected. And save. Now there's two ways to do this. You can do this on an individual level by hitting that edit pencil, or you can make sure that you filter for the games that you want to change and come up and do a mass update and check off this bill to option and come over and select which bill to it's going to, and then begin status change. So that indicates that the game is responsible to that bill to that you set. Now the second thing you need to do is make sure that the positions are set to be paid by the bill to. So if you come over and click on this option over here, you'll see currently that these are marked as not paid. That's telling the system that the assigner is responsible for making those payments, but we need to change that to the bill to. Again, there's two ways to do this. You come over to the edit pencil, and you can either check this box here and hit save. You'll see that that will change to paid by bill to, or again, by using that mass update, make sure that you filter for the games that you want to make that change to. Come to mass update and check off this paid by bill to. And then you'll see that all those should have been changed to being paid by the bill to. So now, because those are marked as being paid by a bill to, they will show up for the contact that you assign to that bill to. So yeah, the next step to that is going into your contact list and one, adding them, and two, making sure that they have a relationship to the correct bill to. So you'll come over to your users tab and then the contacts. You'll see we have someone in there currently. To add a new one, that same green plus sign, it'll have you fill out this information. The only ones you really need are the first, last name, and email. If they have registered with Arbiter before, it will let you know that that email is already set in there, and it will pull their information so that you don't have to fill it out for them. If they are a new user, it is going to require an address, phone number, stuff like that. We'll go ahead and skip that for now because we do have someone in there. So the second part is making sure that they have a relationship set to that bill to. So if you come over to this left-hand side under relationships, you'll want to make sure that the person that you're affecting, their name's selected right here. Obviously, this list would grow the more contacts you have on your list. And come over and click Show All. And it'll list all the build tos, sites, and teams you set up. So majority, let's say you're working with a high school and you want them to view anything that's going on with their teams or at their school, and they are responsible for paying, you want to make sure that you check off any box that has their school name on it. So to change those games, I'm just going to go ahead and select the build to that we assigned to those games. And I'm going to select a couple other here so we can just see what it looks like on the contacts then when you have multiple sections selected. And then you'll hit save. And that's all that the assigner really needs to do on their end. So again, one, making sure that the game is assigned to the correct bill to, the referees are assigned to be paid by the bill to, and that a contact is set up with the correct relationship. Now to kind of show you what it looks like on the contact side, change my account here. You'll see when you first log in, you'll come up with this little table that'll show any game that's been assigned to those bill to, sites, or teams that's been set up by the assigner and that you have that relationship to. Now to actually pay the official, you'll want to work with under the bill to. You'll see that we have those 2 games over here that we assign that bill to. To get into pay the officials, we'll come over to this option and click on pay officials, and you'll see here that those 2 officials will show up in our list. To pay those officials, all you will do is make sure you check that box, and it'll keep a tally right down here of what the total will be. So you can see that there's a couple different options. You have the unpaid, which will show anybody that's unpaid. Paid will show anybody you've taken care of in the past. And then there's 2 ways to see if a referee has an Arbiter Pay account. You'll notice on this unpaid that they have this little warning sign over here, and that option to pay them isn't available. That indicates that they have not set up an Arbiter Pay account. And then also this no AP account tab will also show you those in a list. So before you actually get into paying the officials, you need to 1, fund your Arbiter Pay account, and 2, make sure it's linked to your Arbiter 1 account. So I'll jump over to the Arbiter Pay account. You'll see yours will kind of look similar to this once you're logged in. It'll show the account number that we've generated for you. If you click on that, you can see a transaction history of all deposits, payments made within that account. If you come down to this My Profile tab, you'll see that you can edit all the information within here. User information, physical address, mailing address. Bank accounts is going to be the big one if you are planning on funding your account through an electronic funds transfer. You'll want to come to bank accounts, and you can put multiple in here, but you want to make sure at least one is in there and that it is selected as the primary. Now, once you have that bank information in there, you'll want to come up to this transfers, and the one that you'll be working with when funding the account is this bottom tab right here. So if you're planning on doing a EFT or an electronic fund transfer from a bank account, you'll come over to this enter. It's going to say, do you want to proceed? You'll click yes. And it'll fill out the bank information based off which one you have selected as your primary. If you need to change this, you can do it from here or go back into that My Profile, edit the bank information, and change the primary to a different bank. You'll see that it's going to say it's transferring into this Arbiter Pay account right here. And down here you'll select, how much you want to transfer. It'll show the processing fee, and you'll enter that 4-digit security PIN that you created when you registered for the account. Now, if you're not funding by a bank account and you want to do it by check, that's perfectly fine. We'll go ahead and throw this information in the chat so that you guys have access to it. But this is who you would make that check out to. The important thing to remember with checks is that you include the Arbiter Pay account number that we provide you, which you can find within your Arbiter Pay account under the Accounts tab. So you can see you do have the option to have multiple accounts under there if you wish. You just need to let us know and we can add that for you. But if you do that, make sure that you do include that correct account number that you want those funds to go into. So once the Arbiter Pay account is funded, the next step is just paying the officials. So you would go back into your Arbiter 1. Now, as I mentioned before, we need to link the account so that you're pulling those funds from that Arbiter Pay account and distributing to the officials that you're paying. To link the accounts, you'll come over to this click here where it says no Arbiter accounts found. You'll click here. It's going to ask for the username of your Arbiter Pay account. You'll enter that in right here. Hit that green plus sign. You'll want to verify that this account number here, the last 4 digits, match up with what shows in your account. And then again, it'll ask you for that security key. Once you have that entered, you'll hit save and it will link that account. So the funds that are in the Arbiter Pay account will also reflect on your page where you pay the officials. They will show the balance right there. So you can see what's current in the account and how much you'll be taking out of at the same time. A couple other options here is, let's say you have multiple people that handle the payments at your location. We do have this approve tool where if one person would like to go in, make sure that the amounts are correct and that they are approved for payment, they can click on that and it'll put a name next to it. So then the next person would log in, see that they have been approved, and actually go in and submit those payments. And the other option is these 3 dots on the right hand side. Let's say that the amount is not correct. You can click on that and change those as you need to. So it will do it by game fee, travel, or per diem. Now, a lot of people ask about reporting, running Excel sheets to keep track of all your payments and everything. There's a few ways you can do this. If you come to the reports tab, you see you can run any type of report by fees by sport, payment details, registration, anything like that. If you do payment details, you can break it down by specific date range, a specific bill to, and sport and level, or include everything. Totally up to you. The other option is, like I said, within your Arbiter Pay account. When you're on that Accounts tab, if you actually click on the underlined account number, it will provide a transaction history of all accounts that have gone in and out of there. So any funds that have been uploaded, any payments that have been made, it'll provide a description as well. So that pretty much covers that process. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw those in the option over there. We'll stick around for a little bit. Again, we'll throw that link to the check information in there as well so that you're able to have that if you choose to fund your account by check. All right, we have a couple questions coming in. The first one is asking how you can communicate it with officials that do not have an Arbiter Pay account. It's really up to you. We do provide an option that if you're in that No AP Account tab, if you check off their name, you can shoot them an email that will prompt them to go in and register for an Arbiter Pay account. Just make sure you check that box, and then once you have who you need in there, click on this email option. All right, another question about how do we add an account to Arbiter Pay. With that, what we will do is you can just contact any one of us and we can go in and make sure that that second or third or however many accounts you need can be added. That's something we would do from our end. Another question about how long the invoice will hang until they sign up. That will remain there until removed by the assigner. So if they have not been paid, it will stay there as long as the assigner has that assigned to that official on their schedule. All right, we still have some questions coming in, so we'll stick around for a little bit. I did want to mention that we do have more of the same webinar coming up in the later today and then in the next couple weeks. So if there's something that you missed or something you want to see again or have questions about in the future, be sure to register for those and we'll kind of go over these same topics. Another question coming in, if any errors are made, like an official has changed or the payment was submitted when it wasn't supposed to, contact us immediately and we can submit that to our accounting team to do a payment reversal. But it will need to be pretty quick because if the official does receive those funds and transfers them out of their Arbiter Pay account, there's not much we can do after that point. Another good question that came up, how long would it take for funds to show up in an Arbiter Pay account if you are doing it by an EFT or a bank transfer? Usually those take about 3 to 4 business days, so it is good to plan accordingly. By check, it is a little longer, usually say about 5 to 7 business days. With that also, there is a $5 fee after November 1st to issue those checks. So again, factor that into your upload that you're providing to us. All right, well, that pretty much takes care of this webinar today. We'll hang out for a few more minutes to answer any last minute questions, so feel free to keep them coming. If you have any questions in the future, be sure to contact our support team. That information can be found on our website. We also will throw it in the chat so that you guys have record of it. Again, we will have another webinar later today and a few more in the next couple weeks, so be on the lookout for those if you want to attend those. Thank you for everybody that jumped on. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks.